Moller. Welcome to Glimpse TV, and I'm here with Kimberly Johnson, and she's just in from Rio, actually, from Brazil. She's an amazing yoga teacher and body worker and teaches postnatal yoga recovery. Is that how you would say it?
Yeah, postpartum recovery, both. Yeah. I combine yoga and body work and some other modalities.
Great. So you can find her at ejejcsingle.com. And she and I met through my good friend Marie Forleo, who you'll see on the show one of these days. And how long have you been practicing yoga?
I've been practicing yoga for about 17 years.
Wow. That's a long practice.
Yeah.
Because you're not
Because I'm
that
not
old.
that old, yeah.
Yeah. And you tell a story on your website about how you came to yoga, and I think people would love to hear that.
Okay. Well, I came to yoga, I was 19, I was in college, and I was a dancer.
Also at Brown?
At Brown,
well,
yeah, fellow
so
alum.
Yes.
And I actually was sexually assaulted at Brown, and I tried to stay there because I loved the school, but I just got really depressed. And in that period of depression, I decided to try some things that I was afraid of or curious about. And those two things were yoga and rock climbing. And so I went and signed up for a rock climbing class, and I went to the rock climbing, and I got onto the face of the rock, and they were like, reach up, there's a ledge on the right. And I looked over to the right, and there was like something that maybe my index fingernail could have fit on. And I just was terrified, plastered to the rock. And so I was like, I don't think rock climbing is really for me, because the other people in the class were completely agile and doing it, and I was super just terrified.
Yeah.
And then I went to the yoga studio next door, and I totally lucked out. And my first yoga teacher was Trisha O'Reilly, and I went and I took a class, and I had been a dancer, and she was giving me all these corrections, and it was Vini yoga, which I was by far, I was 19, and probably the average age was 55 or 60. And I was the one that was getting all of the corrections and feedback, and I was like, okay, we're doing cat-cow, how could I be doing this so wrong? I'm watching it, I'm doing it, what's the problem?
Right.
But afterwards, I just went up to her, and I was like, what is yoga? What is it? Because I knew it was something more than just breathing and moving, and she was like, well, she was actually kind of irritated. She was like, you just do it. You have to just experience it. And I wanted to, read a book or know about, the big secret.
So what's the yoga scene like in Rio?
Yoga in Rio is new, nascent. Brazilians are amazing because they're so accepting, and there's such a mix of so many things. But in terms of the yoga tradition, it makes things a little bit crazy. I have a yoga studio, and I teach Ashtanga and read tarot cards. I'm saying, people have, the randomest things that are mixed together, and then people don't know, that
yoga and tarot
aren't the same thing. Right. I have, I do crystals, I, read this, I do this, and then, we do Ayurveda. It's just so many things mixed together that, people love yoga because Brazilians are so automatically devotional. They're so open-hearted. They love the spirit world. They interweave their language about the spirit world so flawlessly. You don't start talking about spirits and then lean in and talk quietly. It's
I had this dream.
Yeah. Or I saw something. It's oh yeah. Did you see there was an old lady living in that corner of your room, and then...
Really?
Yeah. Teaching there is, the opposite of teaching in the U.S. In the U.S., it's you're trying to, drum the heart out of people and, get the juice going. There, it's okay, people, let's focus. Let's, stop talking.
You're quite unique in that you run a business, and you're really focused on running a successful business as a woman, as well as being in the spiritual world and teaching yoga and all of that. So what are some tips that you have for people who are maybe more into, mind-body stuff and all that, which isn't technically known as being businessy, that you could apply to a business like that?
First of all, my advice would be, figure out what your beliefs around money are, because for me that was just a huge piece and an ongoing piece, because my yoga identity I had formed completely in contrast to a business identity. I hated thinking about the commercialization of yoga and thinking about becoming a part of that, and I wanted to be a part of the old model, which is basically like, you sit here and you're just so great and so wise that people want to flock to you. And that worked actually for a little while. Like, that worked for a good period of time, but then I had a baby, and then I left the country, and then I moved out. You know, I just completely changed my life around, and now I want to have a business that's multifaceted, where I bring people to Brazil to experience Brazil. I teach people within Brazil. And so in order to do that, because having a child means I can't be completely globally mobile all the time and just be like traveling everywhere to meet people, in order to build that, then I have to do that online. And so in order to do that online, I had to accept that I have to put out content ahead of time. And that's something that's hard for me, because I really, like, when I sit down to teach in that moment of closing my eyes, that is a really rich time for me, where I tune in and I give something that's unique to that moment. And so to try to anticipate people's questions and concerns ahead of time and put content out there that's relevant is a challenge for me. I sort of whittle things down to two things: desire and focus. Like, the desire in me is really strong, and before, my desire, like, to share my gifts, yes, I wanted to do that, but basically my desire for my personal freedom was greater than that. My desire to be mobile, to be able to pack my stuff at any time and go to India, to be able to just be completely spontaneous, was greater than my desire to build a financial